Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk. I'm your host Rob. So this video we're going to be discussing and reviewing the second episode of season 4 of The Walking Dead. Okay guys, welcome back. So this episode had a lot going on in it. I mean, I, I gotta take a drink of water. Hold on. All right, so I mean, I could review this all the way from beginning to end, but here's the bottom line: the essence of these first two episodes is you're living in a fantasy world if you think you're going to have a normal life in this kind of world. I think the ending of the episode displayed that clearly. When you have Rick putting his belt back on, giving the gun back to Carl, little girl, I think her name was Lizzie, getting the knife from Carol. I mean, the fact of the matter is that all these characters, and I'll talk about the primary characters, have all gone through so much. And some of them are delusional and want to live a normal life. And some of them are just evolving. And some of them are starting to display emotions and feelings that they've kept inside for so long. And this was a really emotional episode, in my opinion. I think Michonne with baby Judith could be heartbreaking for any parent. I mean, you know, I have kids. I'm very, 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 very much in love with my children. They're great kids. And so you could tell that something has happened in her life, whether it's maybe she had a child or someone she knew had a child, whatever the case may be. But holding that baby just broke her down. And I loved seeing that because Michonne, we all love her because she's a badass. She wields a samurai sword, so on and so forth. But we want to know more about her. You know, because with Daryl, you know, even though there's still a lot to learn about him, you've been with him since day one. You've seen his transformation. You've grown with him. We didn't get that opportunity with Michonne. She came in there and we gravitated towards her just on the sheer fact that she was just a badass. Now, Daryl is just probably, I would say, the foundation of this group. You know, he always seems to hold it together. I mean, we saw him and how he reacted to Merle's death, but for the most part, he always holds it together. And you could kind of tell when he's talking to Rick and he said, you know, trying to like get him to step back to the plate. He knows what Rick is capable of. He knows what Rick brings to the group as a leader and as somebody with a voice. And the fact that Rick was falling back on this whole I want to be a farmer, Old McDonald had a farm type deal and have his son there is just, it's a joke. It was a joke. And I don't think Daryl would have ever told him that because he has so much respect for Rick and what Rick has done that I don't think he would go out and say that to him. But you could kind of tell that Daryl, while he's a capable leader, he doesn't have the kind of ideas that Rick comes up with. He doesn't think about the things that Rick does. He's very one-dimensional when it comes to, you know, basically he's like, all right, this is what I got to do. I'm going to do it. And he takes a very direct path to doing what he needs to do. Whereas Rick will look at many different options. And that's why Rick sometimes gets into trouble or some of his decisions backfire. But that's what happens. And that even though it happens to Rick a lot, that would happen with anybody. That would happen with Daryl if he tried to open the options. Because when you open the options, you're rolling a dice. And it's either going to work greatly or it's going to backfire. For example, when they were on the fence fighting the walkers, nobody there thought of getting the truck and feeding them pigs. Nobody thought of that. Rick had to think of that. And there's a risk with that. Now you're sacrificing food. It probably was bad anyway because of the whole flu thing. But now you're sacrificing food. You're going out in front of the prison where there's a gazillion walkers around. At any given time, any one of them could have gotten bit or would have been blindsided. But this is the difference between Rick and Daryl. Daryl's badass, direct. I'm gonna go head on into it. Rick falls back a little bit. He thinks, weighs his options, and tries to take the lesser of two evils. And furthermore, he, you know, if it backfires, he accepts it. He holds himself accountable, but he also beats on himself too much. He goes too far. So this was a great episode, kind of just displaying all that. And now when he put the belt back on, I mean, part of me was like, yeah, dude. I mean, I kind of felt bad for him, but at the same time, it's like you have to do this. There's no way you're gonna live a normal life in this world. It's just not happening. It's not happening. And if there is any chance of it happening, it's not gonna be where they are. Um, Now, with the whole threat thing, we all obviously last week we all figured out it was some sort of disease or virus. I knew it wasn't the water. That was just too obvious. Not to say that it's not; it might still be. But if the water is contaminated, that's not going to be the original source. This is just a flu. It's a flu. Some people think it's swine flu. On the show they mentioned swine flu. They mentioned bird flu. They just know that some sort of strain of like influenza that is killing people because swine flu never really acted that fast in real life. This could be some sort of mutated version, but nonetheless, it's a sickness. It's obviously contagious. Could be airborne. It could be based on touch, but it's something that I think was always out there. I think it was always out there, and the reason you never saw anybody in the primary group get infected is because those guys were out in the open on the road for a very long time, getting bled on, getting saliva on them from walkers. I think they build a natural immunity to it. Where the people from Woodbury, who were behind closed doors, nicely protected, taking showers, blah blah blah, those people I think were more susceptible because they weren't out there. That's just my opinion. That's my theory. I'm not saying it's right, but that's how it seems to me. Because it kind of makes perfect sense. But now, as far as the people that are not from Woodbury that are in the group now, some of those people were out on the road too, like Bobby Stuckey and some of the other people. Um, I don't know if Patrick came from Woodbury, but I can tell you right now, he's not. He didn't look like he came from the road. That's for sure. So, I mean, I think that's the theory behind that. I think people like Daryl, people like Rick, Carl, Tyreese, Sasha, I think they've built an immunity to it. They've already been exposed to it far before this, and that is the reasoning behind maybe them not getting sick. Where Patrick and some of the other people, Karen, they were in Woodbury the whole time. They were well protected. Um, and that's why they were more susceptible. Now, Karen dying was a bummer. As we drew closer to the season, I kind of came to the realization that I was so wrong on my prediction because when they originally showed the scene with her and Tyreese like about a month ago in a new trailer they released. And when I saw her with Tyreese, I'm like, she's probably gonna die, because then they showed Tyreese finding the body like he did at the end of this episode, and he was holding flowers. And when I saw that trailer, I'm like, yeah, I think my prediction is way off. So I'm 1 for 2. Uh, I had one video in August that I said that I thought the bleeding eyes would play a significant role. They did, but I also predicted Karen to be a breakout character. She was not, unless she was more like a burnout, literally speaking. But wouldn't it be crazy though if she wasn't dead? Wouldn't it be crazy if she is like the governor's infiltrator and she put her bracelet on that person to make it seem like she got killed, and she was the one that fed the rats, and she might be going around doing crazy shit? I thought about that for a minute in the beginning of the episode after they showed the person feeding the rats, because she had a flashlight and she looked like she had, maybe just come back and then got with Tyreese. But, you know, I think I don't remember. I mean, I watched the show and I paid attention, but I don't think they showed or discussed who fed them. But although a lot of people I'm reading on the forums before I did this video, a lot of people think it was Lizzie, and that kind of makes sense. The only thing is, Lizzie is kind of short, and that person looked like they were kind of head on. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, I thought overall it was a great episode. I think I like where they're going this season. I definitely want to learn more about Michonne, and let's not forget Carol. Carol was just like completely. I mean, when you think about back in the day, abusive wife, lost Sophia. She had every reason not to live. And then she started kind of becoming that dependent, annoying woman. And now, within the first 2 episodes, she's made such a huge impact, teaching people how to fight, being blunt. She's kind of, it's almost like she's so worried about the kids, which that for me is like, that would be one of my things in this kind of situation. Like, I would be so motivated by my children, my personal children. Like, I would want to do whatever it took to make sure that that they learned how to protect themselves, and B, that they were taken care of at the same time. And she seems to be so focused on the children, on the kids, and really wanting them not to fall asleep and not. She's being realistic, unlike most other people. Unlike Rick, unlike even Carl. She's being realistic. She knows that while things may have been good, they're not going to stay like that forever. And they're not. And now you have all these zombies crowding the gates. You have a strand of flu going around, killing people within a 12-hour span, and you've lost about 12 people. I didn't count, but I remember when I did the whole MTV video and how they watched the first 2 episodes. I said that by the end of episode 2, there's going to be about 12 people dead, and I didn't do any counting, but 10 died. 2 died last week. I would say at least 10 died this week, probably even more. So, whew, first 2 episodes, man, awesome. I'm looking forward to next week. It's very exciting. This is a real different feeling I have about the show from season 1, 2, and 3. And season 2, up to this point, me personally, has been my favorite season of all. But so far, if this one keeps at this pace and this direction, it probably could surpass that. So, what do you guys think about episode 2? What do you expect to see in episode 3? We are going to do a video of previewing next week's episode, probably touching upon some things in this episode I might have missed. And then we'll go from there. It's a wild ride. So I enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will see you next video. Take it easy.